In our first example, we had a case when we had multiple nodes, but they were providing different types of service. So user would only connect to one node, use the service there, and that node will supply all the required information. What if we have multiple nodes involved in providing the same session, for instance, a voice call? So user calls through PSTN line to our calling card gateway to make a call using his PIN number. Then the IVR or the gateway, it will do authentication. It will send a request to PortaBilling. PortaBilling will validate PIN, say PIN is valid, you have $10. Then user enters a number in Canada, so authorization request will be sent. So PortaBilling will say, well, with your balance, you are allowed to talk for 5 hours. And then this gateway will send a call for SIP protocol to PortaSIP. So PortaSIP can do advanced routing and all the other cool features it handles. When call arrives to PortaSIP, PortaSIP have to be sure that we only allow somebody on our network who is supposed to use the service. So it has to authorize this inbound call somehow. However, PortaSIP cannot authorize the end user in this case. Well, it would be very silly in our situation. The user just entered PIN number and we already told the user that they have 5 hours, and then we would ask the user to re-enter PIN again. Well, nobody will like the service, nobody will be buying our calling cards. And in some cases, it's just going to be physically impossible to identify the end user. So the idea is the first node, the one which is on the edge, the one which allowed end user into the network, has to do authorization of end user. And the other nodes within network, they trust each other. They know if they are listed as trusted nodes, they can just pass the session among each other and make sure the service works smoothly. And they do it based on their IP addresses. So by listing node in the trusted node list, we also enable other nodes to accept inbound, to accept calls coming from that node. And then PortaSIP will send a call to a carrier, which will actually send a call to Canada. When customer hangs up, billing actually needs both parts of billing information, both parts of accounting, because accounting from our IVR gateway will tell us who the user was. So what is the PIN number, which calling card we should actually deduct the balance from. And PortaSIP here will tell us other important information, for instance, which carrier was used. So we correctly calculate our costs. What was the actual duration of a call, because there could be a few seconds difference, and we should use really this outgoing lag. So PortaBilling will combine these pieces together and produce correct charges. And of course, if for whatever reason one of these elements fails to do its part and fails to deliver correct information, the results are going to be pretty bad. So correct configuration of trusted nodes is very important. So to summarize, when a call gets to our network, the edge node has to authorize the end user. After that, when the call is sent to other nodes, if they see a call request coming from a trusted node, for SIP protocol, for instance, they would automatically let it in. They would allow it in based on the fact the call is coming from a trusted node. And upon the completion of a call, all nodes which are involved in this chain of service have to send information to PortaBilling, so it will combine information together and produce correct charging. This example, which I told about prepaid cards, the same thing would apply to a scenario when we have here a PortaSIP. Maybe it's installed in Asian data center, so your customers in Asia have a bit better voice quality, but when it needs to send a call to the main PortaSIP, same thing. This PortaSIP will authorize the end user, and this one will just accept the call because it comes from a trusted source.